Noah Galloway is a former American soldier. He decided to join the military post the September 11th terror attacks. While in the military, he was injured in an IED attack, which caused him to become a double amputee. As a double amputee, he had a long journey of recovery, both physically and mentally. In his memoir, Living with No Excuses, The Remarkable Rebirth of an American Soldier, he chronicles his journey. Noah has been featured on The Ellen Show, was also a finalist on Dancing with the Stars, and he has currently a charitable fund called the No Excuses Charitable Fund, which helps people through different organizations and giving back. All right, what was your inspiration to join the military?
I was in college when 9/11 happened, and I was actually sleeping in that morning. I didn't have class that morning, and I got a phone call to turn on the TV, and I turned it on. And I remember the reporters talking about pilot error, that, you know, a plane had crashed into one of the World Trade buildings. And I was watching, and everybody was terrified and worried about everyone in the building. Mm-hmm. And then I saw with the rest of the world as that second plane hit. And I remember the screams around the cameraman as they were filming it. And it was terrifying and horrible to watch. And I watched for as long as I could as we had, you know, the Pentagon and then the plane go down in Pennsylvania. And I went for a run, and I ran for several miles and decided on that run that I wasn't going back to school, that I was going to join the military. So I ended up joining, went through basic training, jump school, then ended up the 101st Screaming Eagles out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And that's, you know, I was in the invasion of Iraq in 2003 and went back in 2005 before I was injured. But it was, I love my country, and it was something hard to see, and I wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we thank you for all your time and dedication to help, you know, America, you know, and its people. When you woke up with the realization that you had gotten injured, what was the recovery process like? Did you wake up in a hospital?
Yeah, when I woke up, I don't remember the injury. It was a roadside bomb that I hit. It knocked me unconscious, took my left arm off immediately, injured both my legs, my right hand, shattered my jaw. I woke up 6 days later in a hospital on Christmas Day, and I was already at Walter Reed Army Medical Center in DC.
Okay.
And I didn't know what was going on, how I got there, what my injuries were. So as I found out what was going on, I'm not afraid to admit, I mean, it terrified me. And then I had all these emotions running through my head. One minute I was like, this is fine, I'll be okay. The next minute I was angry, and the next minute I was crying like a baby. It was just, I was on a roller coaster of emotions. And then I got very determined to do everything on my own. And, you know, part of it was good, but part of it was bad. I improved the way I moved, I walked and started running on my own, but emotionally, you can't do that by yourself. Right. You know, I went into a deep, dark depression and was trying to do that on my own. And once I realized that was making a huge mistake, and really I saw that I wasn't being a good influence on my children. Mm-hmm. When I realized I was showing my two boys what a man's supposed to be, and that's what they're going to grow up to be. And I'll show my little girl how a man's supposed to act. And that's what she was going to look for one day. I was like, no, I've got to change. And that's when I started getting help, because it was for them. Mm-hmm. And then the world opened up, and I was able to talk with different people and be open about my depression and my struggles. And that is when things started to change. You know, the physical injury was bad, but it also made a bit of a challenge that I enjoyed. It was the emotional that was trying to get through that I could not do on my own. And it wasn't until I got help that started to turn into a positive.
Absolutely. And so actually just talking about your kids, clearly, obviously, you had kids when you were in the when obviously prior to going to the
One of them was born before. The second two were born after I was injured.
Okay.
So, no, my depression struggled for about 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I had 2 more children, but I still wasn't myself.
Right. Okay.
As I came out of that depression, like my friends were comfortable enough to tell me that, yeah, I was a different person when I was depressed. Even if I thought I was portraying the same guy, it was obvious that I wasn't.
No, of course. So how do your children react to all of that?
Well, they were so young.
Okay.
That thankfully I noticed it early on. I mean, they didn't see it. It wasn't like I was angry in the house and they saw anything. I just, I self-medicated with alcohol. I'd go to the bar a lot and they'd be at the house with their mother. So, and then that marriage didn't work out, but we co-parent good now. You know what I mean? We got through that. That was a struggle. I'm a better person. She's a better person because of all we went through. And now we focus on the children and being parents.
What was the hardest part of your recovery, both physically, emotionally?
The emotional, accepting it. There's a lot of people that have, amputations, spinal cord injuries, brain injuries, all these different things that I know and I was around and saw their success, but we all look at ourselves and think, can I do that?
Absolutely.
And then I started to, conquer the physical side because I was a physical person before, but the emotional and mental side was the longest part of the recovery, accepting it, accepting who I was, and then moving on past that.
Absolutely. So are your kids aware of what happened and why you are the way you are?
They are, yes. They have done, I remember the first time one of my sons portrayed me in a living museum at the school. And he knows, he rehearsed, and when I walked up to him and he knew my entire story, my kids are amazing. I'm very fortunate, and they're very proud of their dad. And it's incredible how much they know about my story and how much they respect it.
Yeah, no, I would be too if you were my dad.
When I was on the cover of Men's Health, the teachers at the school said that my kids walked around with an issue of Men's Health for like 2 weeks.
What made you decide to turn to physical fitness as an additional way to recover?
I got into physical fitness at a young age. I was about 11 or 12, and I got introduced to it and just got into fitness. I didn't care about sports or anything. I just liked fitness and exercising. And then that helped me throughout life. I did construction for a while. And then in the military, I was an infantry soldier. So we're very physical. We're front lines. And so when I got injured, I knew that I felt better when I was healthier. So I started changing the way I was eating, everything I was doing, eased into fitness, had to figure out how to work out, miss an arm and a leg. And as that started to happen, I felt great about myself. My self-confidence went up, and that's what I needed. And so that's why, that's one thing that I always push is, when we're healthier, we're happier. And fitness is so crucial, not just for sports, not just to look good in a bathing suit. No, it's for us. We take care of the inside and the outside. And when we're healthy, we're doing that. And so I knew that I needed that in my life again. And that's where it took me.
Amazing. No, I work out 5 days a week, and obviously my physical and fitness is different than yours.
Feel better.
But no, it's amazing. It's good for your mental health, obviously your physical health. If I go more, which is never the case, but God forbid, if I'm traveling or whatnot and I go 2 days without working out, I feel it. I can even sometimes be a little bit more agitated when I sleep, and I won't say whoever invented physical fitness, but physical fitness is a great asset to life. And I wish other people did it, because not everyone does it.
I know. And now I'm about to venture into the world of yoga. I've never done that. So I'm about to see what that's like, because I've read so many incredible things and seen people that just enjoy it. So I'm
a lot of people enjoy it. I don't enjoy it, but a lot of people do. So let me know how it is. I've done it here or there. It's not my favorite, but to each its own.
Well, it's definitely not go. I mean, I like to lift heavy things. I like lifting
Yeah, I mean,
heavy.
yeah, I
So
get it.
it's gonna be a whole nother world.
Yeah,
I'm interested in trying it out.
yeah. Uh, so you wore a kilt during your Barbarian challenge. Did that kilt have any special meaning to you? And if so, what was the special meaning?
No, I wore a kilt. Actually, it was the first time I wore it during marathons, Barbarian Challenge, Tough Mudders. The first one I did was the first race I did was called a Warrior Dash,
Okay.
and it's a Scottish themed 5K obstacle course, and the Galloways are Scottish. So I was like, oh, I told my buddy, I said, let's do this and grow
Right.
beards and wear kilts. Well,
Right.
after I did it, it just became a thing that I always did for a while. And, the Galloways don't have a certain tartan. Some families do. I'm sure it lines with another one. I've never done the research, but it just became something that I just enjoyed doing. Because of course I had someone make fun of me. They're like, "Well, you already missed on the leg. Are you doing it just for the attention?" I was like, "Yeah, pretty much."
It's okay. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Can you tell us a little bit more about your No Excuses Charitable Fund, and then also the product refocus bands that you?
Yes. So my charitable fund, I started it because I saw so many organizations that work with injured veterans and weren't doing what they claimed they were doing. And it really bothered me. Then I'd come across organizations that do phenomenal things, do what they say. So I started this charitable fund that a third party controls. No money goes through my hand, and it still makes it a 501c3. So it's a tax write-off for people, but I decide which organizations the money goes to. Right now, the money's been going to youth sports at the YMCA, because fitness was something I got into at a young age, and it helped me throughout life. Operation Enduring Warrior, that is a group of veterans that take injured veterans and other veterans that are struggling, and you get back to that team mentality and you run races together. And then Homes for Our Troops, that build houses for injured veterans. 90 cents on every dollar goes to the veteran. And so right now, those groups, I'm about to add a fourth. Sheepdog is an organization that works with not just veterans, but first responders, police officers, paramedics, because they don't have the assistance that veterans do to help. So it's Sheepdog is an organization that is branching out to more than that. So I went to Arkansas a couple of weeks ago to meet with the founder and president, because I do my homework. If people are gonna trust me to put the money where it needs to, I'm gonna go find out who you are. And that's a great organization that I'm about to start benefiting. And my refocus bands, I'm real proud of. They're these bracelets. I don't even have my own right now. I wear them and then I give them away. But
Okay.
it's not like the rubber bands that end up deteriorating and break. This is an elastic, and it has my mantra of no excuses on one side of it. You can wear it either way, and the belief is you have it when you're having those doubts, you flip it over and it says no excuses. But then a part of the money goes to the charitable fund. So it's not anything that I'm benefiting for my own self. This is money that I want to use to help these organizations, to help these veterans, to help these first responders, to help these children in these youth programs.
No, it's great. And this is the type of work that we need. And obviously you're doing, and a lot of people around the world are doing, and even
there's a lot of great organizations, and to meet just like you and your organization, to connect with people and then do things to help one another, because it's you don't want to. I don't like the mentality of organizations having to fight because they're all trying to reach their hands in the same pot of money. Like, no, let's work together. Let's build all this like we need to, so that the people we want to help get the help.
Absolutely. No. And, making sure people get the help, especially when they're injured or have other types of, disabilities, whatever the case may be, is important, because a lot of people don't know about the help, or they're in denial and don't want to get the help. So the more we raise awareness, I think the better we are within our community.
I agree.
Yeah. So you wrote the memoir, Living with No Excuses, The Remarkable Rebirth of an American Soldier, which chronicles your journey. Was there any additional meaning or purpose into writing your story? Often there are other reasons. And if so, what was it?
So it was a while before I decided to write the book, and when I did, it was tough because I had to go back and relive some dark times, and I was very in the book. I mean, there's humorous things in the book. There's all kind of different things, but the heart of it, the meat of the book is I'm very open about the depression I went through and the struggles and mistakes I made. And as I was putting that book together, I hired a friend of mine to help me because I'd never written a book before.
Okay.
Her and I did it, and it was hard to do. And then when the book was released, I was worried that people weren't going to like what they read, because it was right after Dancing with the Stars, and these people saw me as this great Southern gentleman, and then they're going to read this negative stuff in a book. But I stuck with it because when I was struggling in my depression, I thought I was alone. I thought the feelings I was having were unlike anyone else's, and that it was just the world I was going to live in. And I told myself, if one person reads this book and sees that they're not alone and that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, then it's worth other people looking at me like I'm a bad person, which didn't happen. You know, the responses have been great, not just veterans, people that, you know, whether they've had a disability or they've struggled with depression just on their own, they've related to it. And sometimes you got to just risk it and put yourself out there in order to make a difference. And there's been, you know, people that have connected with it. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's part of the reason people do write books. So you clearly show that you go beyond and you're more than your limitations. As we discussed, you've been on TV shows, Dancing with the Stars in particular, on the cover of Men's Health magazine. What have you learned, if anything, through these different types of fame, I should say?
You know, I've learned that it can be difficult, but as this started, I decided I wanted to improve as a father first and foremost, and everything else was just the ripple effect that came from it. And I sometimes have to remind myself that this is why I'm doing things, because, you know, after I was on the cover of Men's Health, I went on Ellen, and then all these shows wanted me. Survivor, another shows that I wanted to do. And I turned them all down because I didn't want to be away from my kids. And then Dancing with the Stars called, and I told them, I was like, I've heard of your show. And then they said, do you have any dance experience? I said, no. And they're like, if you'll do our show, we'll put you in a house in LA for the duration of the time you're on here. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. I was like, I can't leave the state for that long. And then they said, well, that's all right. We'll send the dancer to you. You'll rehearse all week in Alabama and fly back and forth to LA for a live show. And the only response I could come up with on the phone was, crap. I mean, I guess I'll do it, because I didn't have an argument then.
Right.
So that's how I ended up on the show. But even from there to this day, you know, I've had offers to do shows that, you know, some people would jump all over, Big Brother, The Bachelor, stuff like that. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that, which can be hard because you get used to attention, the pay, you know, but I do this for my children. Right. You know, I'm a father first. Right. And I have found that, you know, what I've discovered is that actually takes you a lot further on in life. Mm-hmm. Being, you know, having a right, you know, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but, you know, when you're on the right goal and you're doing everything for the right reasons, yeah, things move slower, but the respect is there.
Absolutely.
You know, and that I have taken a lot of pride in, that I continue to keep my children first.
I think that's great. And, you know, I know you'll continue doing that. But I guess getting back into just the shows and just being, for instance, on Dancing with the Stars, you know, what was a favorite moment of yours? Because there must have been, regardless. I
actually I didn't like dancing, and I don't know how to dance, so I rehearsed constantly. But I'm glad I did it. I got to know a lot of good people. I was friends with not just the dancers and the celebrities that were there, but the production crew, you know, hair and makeup. I still talk to all these people. When I'm in town in LA, I'll see them. So it was a great experience. And then more importantly, it was the people that reached out to me. Because
Mm-hmm.
halfway through the season, I was like, why am I still on this show? And how do I get out of it? But then people started reaching out to me, saying that they were inspired by it. And I realized it was bigger than I was, and I needed to continue doing what I was doing. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. From the fitness side, we talked about that earlier. I left that show in worse shape than I was in.
Okay.
And that took a long time to recover from. So that because I was dancing all the time, I didn't have time to exercise and work out. And
Right.
so it was detrimental to my fitness.
Right.
So that was the only thing that was a struggle with the show.
Right. No, and I'm happy you did it. And there's obviously certain advantages to have been doing, to have done it. Obviously you didn't go so far where there was all this fame where, like so obviously some of the other people, on reality TV shows and whatnot. But, I think it's important that you're well known and established for who you are and what you've accomplished.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like I'm not going to lie and say I don't like the attention. It's incredible.
No, everyone does.
But also, I take pride that I'm just a boy from Alabama, and this is where I've never left.
Yeah, we're all just a human being.
Yeah, I get to travel all over the world, feel like I'm a big deal, and then come home and hang out in the same little coffee shop that I like to come to, or whatever it is.
Right. So as a double amputee, obviously, clearly you've learned a lot. What, if any, like when you come into contact with people who have other types of disabilities or other amputees, what do you teach them? Or, what do you try to preach to them about being an amputee?
I think the best that I do, I try not to ever meet someone and try to say that like I know something they don't, because I could easily learn something from them. But what I try to do is always lead from the front. And by that, I mean to always be pushing myself to inspire someone who does have a disability to try harder, or even my own children to never let anything hold them back. So I don't ever try to push anything on anybody at all. I just try to push myself as hard as I can and hope that mindset spreads.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's, wonderful. You also have to, let people, including your children and whatnot. Yes, you instill X, Y, and Z values or, lessons, but ultimately it's, they have to spread their wings and figure out what's right for them and,
Exactly.
figure out their way, even in tough
and because,
moments,
there's some people, depending on where they are and the stage of their recovery, they may not need someone who's like, just do it. No, they, their mind might need to be, hey, you need to concentrate on getting to know yourself before you go and do whatever.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Yeah. No, it's all great. And then lastly, what tips or tricks, advice would you give to other people that may be watching, or just, people obviously who have disabilities or amputees?
I think that what I'm going to say is I already know you're going to agree with it, because a lot of us that have gone through something, to someone outside looking in, they can say, oh, I'm so sorry. No, I didn't want to get blown up, but the fact that I did, who I am today is because of that, and it's made me better. And to anybody that sees this, whether you have a disability or you don't, look, your mind, if you're negative and not pushing yourself to be the best person you can be, that is the worst disability that's out there. Doesn't matter how many limbs you have, if there's been if you've had brain surgery or anything happen. No, I would rather live missing 2 of my limbs than have a negative attitude and not always be striving to be the best person I can be. Best father, best, whatever it is in life, that's the true disability. And so I would love for anybody that sees this, if they do feel like they're struggling with the disability, hey, work through that. But hey, things get better. It gets easier. But as long as you have a positive mindset, you're doing better than most people out here.
Absolutely. And I also think it's important, which obviously you've preached to, is, to be a well-rounded person. And, obviously some people, it's more severe, and having a family is not as easy, but, family is important, whether it's, your own, parents, siblings, and so forth, or obviously having children. And
Well, you mentioned one thing that's just now you said it's not always easy. I love to tell people no one ever said life is easy.
no,
And
it's
in
not.
fact, the easy things are never worth it.
Right.
So hey, if you're struggling and you need to talk to somebody, do that. If you need to get help, don't do it alone. But then know that the more you go through, the better you are, the outcome on the other end.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Lovely. This was so fun, Noah. I enjoyed speaking with you.